This week we're talking about crime dramas because we absolutely love them. Like they're like our favorite genre, I would say, considering how much we end up writing crime dramas and least expecting writing ones. Like I didn't expect you to be writing like another one. Like what have we done with each other
I don't know, just inspiration just came.
from Criminal Minds?
Probably, yeah, I was watching it.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. And we're going to start with that amazing show. And bear in mind, I think it was year 10. Someone was like, have you seen Criminal Minds? I was like, no, I haven't. And I think I tried to watch an episode, but then I didn't like pay attention enough, as some people do. And then in 2020, I was like, you know what? It's just been added to Prime. I should just totally watch it. And from starting it, I didn't stop. I mean, it was a pandemic, so what else could I do anyway? And I binge watched the entirety. But look, I think it was like the rest of it didn't air. Like season 15 was still technically airing. So I finished it just in time for it to come back. And I was like buzzing. But then I'm like, wait, this is the last season. And I was crying my eyes out. I was devastated. I couldn't believe that my new favorite show was done and it was never coming back. Only for 1 year and a bit later to be like, yeah, so Criminal Minds is returning on Paramount. What? What? I'm like, no, I'm like, it's a hoax. It's not coming back. But here we are, season 16, which was absolutely amazing. Shorter than usual, I would say, but still very enjoyable. Different format, but still amazing.
How different format? When you say different format, what do you mean by that?
Usually it was a case per episode with the odd ones that would continue. But this time it was 10 episodes following the same story, essentially. But it still worked. Like it was really good. And a lot of people doubted whether it would be successful without certain characters returning, but God, it was really good. And it kind of it surprised in many ways. It was very romance centered in a way. What I realized when I was actually writing an article about it, a lot of the characters had like love interests, so that I could not believe that one of the characters, like I always wondered, like why there was no LGBTQ characters like in the show. Oh, they hit it so well. I was like, yes, you icon. I'm like, I
I am
can't
now going to
believe
be watching for little hints throughout
there was
this
no
show.
hints.
Was it
None.
not? Damn it.
Nothing. I'm like, yes, loved it. But you haven't met that character yet, so
Oh, right.
yeah,
That's fine then.
he's in. You're on like 5.
Season 5, I am.
Yeah, see, I know all the spoilers. You're going to be very devastated soon. I can say that for certain.
Oh,
Yeah, but luckily you won't be devastated for very long because unlike
okay.
if you were watching it on TV, you would kind of have to wait and be like, wait, so is this for real? Is that person, you know, dead? Yeah. But when you
Look
binge
forward to
watching
that.
it, it's very different because you don't actually, you're like, oh, right. And plus IMDb tells you everything. It tells you everything.
I'm lucky I haven't been on the IMDb for it.
Good, don't. Although, no, no, don't.
I won't.
Just just don't worry because no characters that you actually really care about die. So that's always a good
That's
thing.
that's comforting.
Yeah, it really is. So the questions that I have is who is your favorite character?
I would say right now my favorite character would be Reed.
Mm, I would say basic. Very basic.
Just something about him that's like he makes the episodes enjoyable.
Yeah, a lot of people are like obsessed completely, like emotionally attached in fan fiction. Like I want him with like people.
Okay, I wouldn't say I'm that of a fan.
Yeah, I stumbled on a Wattpad's version of all the and I was like, I'm kind of disturbed. I was
Fan
very, very
fiction will do that to you.
disturbed. It was questionable. Yeah, see, I'm not like the biggest Reed fan. Like, I don't mind his character, but I wouldn't exactly say he's up there. I'd probably
I wouldn't
like
say he's the best one. It's just one that I like to watch on the episode. I would, if I had to pick one who I would say is number one up there, I'd probably say Emily.
Emily number one. But
Number one has to be.
like say I used to like a lot of like them equally. I love Garcia as well, like Garcia.
Oh, Garcia.
I miss the like the whole baby girl and God, it's so iconic.
That running gag is amazing. I love it.
I love when she answers the phone thinking it's Morgan and it's not.
The first time that happens.
Oh my God, when it's Strauss as well. Like that. Oh God, like humiliation. You could feel it through the screen.
I was cringing. I was like, oh no.
Like, hey Garcia, you're on Tika. There's actually a song called it. There's also a Wheels Up song. You'll get there eventually. YouTube's finest things. But favorite season, but you can't really answer that.
I can't really. I can't.
Say my favorites would be. I usually go for 3, 7. I don't really watch the later ones, mainly because it just felt so close to the end and I didn't want to be emotional. But yeah,
Makes
3 and
sense.
7 are like my go-tos for some reason. I don't know why. But
3
I
was
enjoy
good.
them. Yeah, that's what I'm rewatching at the moment. Yeah, Garcia just got shot, which was very...
Yeah.
I'm a few episodes after that.
When that happened, my heart dropped. I was like, no,
I
they're not
cried.
going to do that.
I literally cried. I was so sad. It was just tragic, completely. So, the next question is favorite episode so
Favorite
far?
episode so far. There's been a few episodes where I've been really invested and I've been really like on the edge of my seat where I really enjoyed it. But I'd say the one that really would be the one I've just finished yesterday, the end of season 4, where it's about like the paraplegic brother making his other brother do things, and he how do I say this? He's got a few mental disabilities.
Yes, I
He doesn't
remember that
really know what
episode.
he's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one.
That
I
was
was like,
very...
oh, like it kept us on, like interested.
Yeah, I would say one of my ones which you won't have seen is like there's a serial killer and he basically waits for tornadoes to happen to make it look like the tornado caused the murder when it was really him.
That's
It's
smart if you
very...
think about it.
Yeah, it's a really good episode, but also like the one where that girl, like where the uncle, like and the auntie in the mall where the like fake are going missing and stuff like that was very
Oh, that one.
screwed up.
Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah,
As it
that's
progressed, I was like,
serious.
ugh.
Yeah, it's very something else completely. But the interesting thing is, like, when you've watched all the whole like season, you learn and you start to pick up things which you can actually equate to real life situations, which is always interesting. So I'd say, what have you learned?
What have I learned? I would say I've learned that what you might think has happened isn't, even if it looks black and white, isn't always the case. There's always a lie being told. Even if it's the smallest lie, it can have the biggest impact.
Yeah, I've learned a bit of like profiling. So like, as in like right now, the way I'm sitting, I'm comfortable, but like I'm leaning forward, so that means I'm interested. Whereas if you try and push your chair and like push back away from somebody, that means that you don't want to be there. But also, apparently, if people like look one way when they're trying to remember something, so if they look to the right, they're trying to like recall a memory, whereas if they look to the left, it most likely means they're lying because they're
I
trying to
learned that from
figure out some.
CSI. I learned that from
Yeah,
watching CSI. That was one of the very early in season one, I think, where it was about the daughter getting kidnapped, but turns out the mother had killed her. And when she was trying to remember what had happened, she was looking down to the left.
yeah, it's like interesting things, and you learn a lot about like the behind the scenes of how they can actually track down unsubs, and it comes in handy for real life because you get to understand people a lot more in like behavior and what it could lead to potentially, which is like you need it these days with the levels of crime that just keeps going up and up all the time, especially in this area that I live in. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's very interesting take, and I know for a fact that I started writing because I thought, why not? Why not? So I started writing a Criminal Minds book because I mean I'm currently using Audible for X-Files books, which amazing. So I thought, okay, let's do a Criminal Minds one because that just doesn't exist. I don't think I haven't came across it. And yeah, Lee read some of it, and I
I did.
am not gonna let him. Like, I took him off the document
Off
because
straight away.
I'm like, you can read this much, but you are not finding out the rest. I haven't wrote anything since, like,
Have you not? Oh well.
no, I will get back to it. I'll probably do that today. But it's just like the level of detail, like, just so it's
The
just
more
not.
detail with it, the more you can visualize it in your head, and the more you can really get attached to it and like follow the story.
Yeah, that one thing I love about Criminal Minds is it actually sets up the scene and it tells you where they are at, which is the X-Files does that as well, and Law and Order, and I feel like it's so helpful because it's not just showing you some fictional place that doesn't exist, it's showing you like real life places, which yeah, and you can always recall like, oh, this happened in this place, and it helps set it up as like a real world, even though it's fictional characters.
A lot of crime fiction do tend to do that. They do tend to place it in an actual real life location rather than a made up place because it kind of has that personal connection to it where you don't have to try to imagine a fictionalized, I don't know, planet or something, but you can visualize just the street, just visualize what's happening.
Yeah, see,
Peter
it's
James does it in every single book, which is really helpful.
yeah, I didn't get that far in the books. I
I've only read
mean,
like 30 pages.
yeah, I don't think the TV series is exactly helpful to the books. Like, it just felt too different. The play was amazing though. Like, the plays just tend to like it done the book justice and did it better, in my opinion. I was like, if that's the way the book ended, I'm so glad that I didn't finish it. Like, I'm like, that is just basic. Like, it's so easy to guess. Like, I don't like that. I don't like when they don't put a turn in there and a twist. Like, if they just leave it so, like, it's the most obvious person, like, that just takes away from a lot. You're just like,
That doesn't
wow,
make it enjoyable.
no.
If they don't have any sort of twist or surprise at the end, it's just like, well, I guess this half hour ago, why did I have to continue reading to just what could have ended half hour ago?
Yeah, it just wastes a lot of time as well for, like, the viewer. Like, all the shows that I watch, I love that I don't know where it's going. There's no predictions as to what is coming next. Like right now, I mean, obviously I just watched season 16 of Criminal Minds. I couldn't tell you where it's going to go. I know what happened in the end, and I know that that sets up potentially some of the next season because it's already renewed and they're shooting in 2 months' time. So
I know
win-win.
that's
Yeah.
really fast what they're doing, but I think it's because season 16 has been a massive success that they just want to get it out season 17 straight away,
Yeah.
get
And
into production.
I kind of have ideas and potential theories, but not really anything. There's not really many clues left behind as to what could happen. And that's what I like about it. Like, I'd rather be surprised than be like, oh yeah, that was kind of obvious. Like, I feel like that is just shoddy writing at times if they do that. Like, please, people, like, if you want to be a screenwriter, and I know that there's time pressures and stuff like that, just don't be sloppy. Like, just think about things and put yourself in the like perspective of the audience and what they would think.
Yeah, we don't want the most obvious thing. We want something that'll surprise us or have us think it's going to be the obvious thing. And then at the very end, twist to be like, oh my God, that's how you do it.
Yeah, usually when I'm watching something, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I'll sometimes message you and I'll be like, I can't believe that's just happened. Like, it blows my entire mind.
Yep.
Like, that's what I love. So we're now going to switch over to the next show, NCIS. And I was actually going to bring my cap down, but sadly, I don't think it would go over headphones. Yeah.
It would look cool though, but
it's mental to think, oh my God, I just realised it's 20 this year.
20. Damn.
I mean, there are 20 seasons in, but 20 years since the original pilot, which is by far one of my favourite episodes because I love how they managed to set up the characters with the amount of banter, and they're just like constantly like I don't even know. They're just the banter, like I can't even think of the word. I just can't. But like
teamwork.
yeah, it's like they use each other for banter. Like it's established quite like soon, especially between Tony and Kate. Like it's just the savagery that's there, and they'll often bounce between that like throughout the series. And I feel like that's one of the dynamics that was lost throughout the years in a way. It just happened to like dissipate as casting changed completely. But like I can't even think of like I draw the line at him sitting in the president's chair. Well, he's not using it. Like it's just
I
like
still found it funny they included someone to be George Bush just for a brief
I
moment
know,
line. I was like, what am I watching?
like it's so like the resemblance,
I know.
like really good. And I love that there's like the rules, Gibbs's rules
Oh,
forever.
Gibbs's rules. Yeah. I had a
Like
mug with all of the rules on.
that is
I
awesome.
sold it a few years ago, sadly.
Yeah, you can name some of them, but not all of them. I just love how Kate's like, do you want us to crochet them? like a legend.
Oh,
I
yeah.
say that is one character that has always been my favorite. I'm like, yes, I'm like, I relate. Like, she is a woman in an industry that is predominantly men. And it kind of shows a lot. It's just like she's kind of looked down upon in a way because it's like, yeah, and I'm a woman, big deal. I've served the press. It's like,
Yeah.
why?
She owns
I'm
it. She's like,
nothing.
she owns being the female in the male industry, but she just bosses it. She just
Yeah,
goes on and does it much better than anyone else could.
like the episode where they're all training at NCIS, and like she's like fighting, and then it's like, come on, McGee, and then she just beats him like completely. And then it's like, don't feel bad, Proby.
No, no.
Yeah, she grew up with brothers. Like, it's just
The chemistry between them two was just epic. That's the
one.
thing with casting changes is you lose the chemistry the characters will have, and it won't be the same, which unfortunately is what has happened with NCIS.
Yeah, and the boats in the basement, like that is just iconic.
Yeah,
I love how they've never ever gave it away how it happens.
I know.
I know how it happens, so because I ended up Googling it eventually. But I heard two
Oh,
different theories. Do you know how it's done?
yes, please explain, because I've never once thought of Googling this.
He essentially knocks down the wall, gets the board out, and rebuilds the wall.
That's what only Gibbs would do, yeah. I can
Yeah.
see that happening. That's a classic Gibbs thing to do.
Yeah, the other theory was that the tunnels that are later like shown in one season, which I think might have been 15, I'm not sure. But there's tunnels outside, but yeah, it was a bit hard to get a board out of there.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I think one of my other favorite characters who also got killed, because every character I love gets killed. Jenny. I loved I loved her. She was a boss ass bitch and she did not let anyone walk all over her.
Even look at her death. Look at how she died.
Yeah.
Did she go down alone? Hell no.
She was fighting.
Oh, she fought to the last breath.
Mm-hmm. Like also like how pretty that she looked that episode. Like I'm like, I want to die like that. I want to die looking pretty.
I'm like, for a woman who's got cancer and is going to die, yeah, not doing too bad.
Forgot about that. God. Honestly, such a good character. It's just it wasn't really the same when characters like that started going.
Yeah.
I like that episode though later. It's like I don't know what season it was where they done what if this actually didn't happen. Oh my god.
Yeah, season 8 or 9, I think that was.
Right.
I think, if I remember correctly, where they go through like different like, oh, if this didn't happen, then Tony and Kate would have been together, and she was pregnant. I
Like
was like,
that would be
oh, they robbed us.
I mean, if you think about that episode where she actually died and he's imagining her like creepy.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, as a Catholic school girl. And then her skirt blows up.
Oh.
Yeah. He just that episode is something else where Abby's like, oh, I imagine her as a goth.
Yeah.
And then McGee's was just even weirder. Like, what was she supposed to be? Like, it's
I will say season 3, episode 1, Kill Ari. That was the very first episode of NCIS I ever watched. And it was I can remember just like being like, who's this person? Who's this Kate person? I have to go watch season 1 and 2 now.
Do you know how I actually found out Kate died?
Oh.
So I went to watch telly because I used to watch it on telly when it was on a night. And then it was like Kate's death was in the bio, and I was like, and I spent the entire night staying up thinking about the fact that she was dead, and I didn't even get up to that point. I was traumatized because I loved Sasha so much because I'd seen episodes of Rizzoli and Isles as well before that. And like, why do they do that? But it's just like, sorry, Caitlin. Like, no, stop it.
Ari, yeah.
It's just like, how rude. I hate that episode, but I also love it because it's funny at the same time. It shouldn't be funny. Like Gibbs actually offers to like get coffee for McGee and
That's how
Tony.
you know it. That's how you know it's affected. Like, just it's affected them down to the bone. Is the personalities that you've known for 2 seasons, they just change. Like Abby, she's not wearing her makeup. She's just sitting in the lab.
Yeah.
Gibbs offers to get someone else coffee.
Instead
That
of hitting
doesn't
them
normally
over the
happen.
back of the head.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, they've really been affected by this. That's
Yeah.
what made it so emotional, that episode.
It was very raw.
It was.
Yeah, I would say some of my favorite episodes. My favourite season would have to be the first one because I feel like it just hit the ground running completely and you were just addicted from that point. I would say favorite episode would be Yankee White, the pilot, and also Bête Noire, which means nightmare in French.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's said in the episode.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say my favorite episodes would be Kill or Eat Part 1, because first one I watched that, just highly emotional. The one where it's Gibbs and McGee at this women's refuge in, is it Iraq or something, and they're getting attacked. And Gibbs is standing outside staring at the attackers, and they're saying, "What's happening?" And they're like, "You've been on the other end of that stay. You know what it feels like."
I don't remember that one.
I can't remember the names. I just remember the descriptions of what happens.
Say that's not as helpful. I feel
I
like
know.
one of the episodes is literally called The Truth Is Out There, and I reckon that should have been the one about the crop circles. I feel like they should have named it that episode, but they didn't.
Yeah,
They've
they
really
had
missed.
they had it on the plate to do that so perfect,
Yeah, I
and they
know.
messed it up.
Like it's that episode, Abby's just like obsessed, and I'm like, that is a very Abby thing.
Oh yeah,
It's just funny.
anything like weird is Abby,
It's
100% down.
it's just funny because obviously she's like a scientist and she's believing in aliens, which is just the opposite of what we've experienced with
Yeah,
the X-Files. I mean, Scully ended up believing eventually, even though it took her a long time. Like, hun, you were kidnapped by aliens. Like, you're
you were
telling us you still
abducted.
don't believe?
You've seen lots of things you can't even possibly explain, including a man who could fit through a hole that big, and you still say you're not a believer.
Exactly. That's one of the inconsistencies with it. It's just really funny though. I absolutely love that. And because I don't know how long was left, but let's talk about Suspicious Minds because I did promise. I did kind of promise on Instagram. I probably shouldn't have, but who am I to say? It's my production. If I'm going to leak things, nobody can tell us off for that.
Yeah, good point.
What's the worst that can happen?
People get interested.
True. Nobody going to kill me. Hello. Can't relate for my character sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah, see, I always got inspired by like that, the dynamics of shows that have come before where like the partners like actually care about each other, like they actually would go to the end of the earth for each other. Like I feel like that's very powerful and it's not shown as much as it used to. It's just, it deserves to come to light.
Yeah,
And that's
shows
why
really have that anymore.
that's why
Shows
I
really
actually
have that.
that's why I started writing Suspicious Minds like a few years ago, because I just finished watching episodes of NCIS and I'm like, why do we not have this anymore? Why do we not have like the dynamics? Did people just decide, nah, it's not a cool thing to do anymore, it's too old? Like, no. This is why shows like this live on, because they don't miss. Like they managed to get us so attached to characters within a short like part of time that it's like if something happened to them, it would literally destroy like the audience. Like they would cry. And that's what I wanted to do. And that's why there's like such banter. And I'm actually printing the script off after this. And I probably should have printed it out before this. So we have 10 minutes left to talk about Suspicious Minds. And the story is about two agents at a fictional agency called ICS, and I've never heard of ICS. Is that something like NCIS? Something like that from the pilot. So it's like a pilot, but it's also not, because it's going to lead in a series, hopefully. Fingers crossed for that. But I love the opposites. They're like completely. So you've got Isla, who's new, and she's like, I can't believe I ended up doing this. Like, bad decisions. Like, she's regretting her life. I mean, I'm pretty sure she said she made a drunk decision to like apply, which sounds very in your 20s, to be honest. Yeah, and then you have Wyatt, who is kind of, I'd say he's like blacklisted almost from the agency. Like, he's just reckless. It's just, he's like, okay, I might have maybe got a few people fired. I might have like done all this, but still, at least I get results. Like, he just happens to like get into trouble a lot of the time. And it usually makes people disappear or get killed. But I feel like the partnership is just like meant to be in a way because of the banter. It's like, what did you expect us to be, kind of thing. Like, she's just like, I'm not, you know, I'm not taking it. And she's like, okay, wow, this is a very male dominant environment. And then there's me, who looks like I'm practically a kid. I should probably be in school. But like, she's doing this job, and just smarter than what people would give her credit for. Like, they just think, oh, she's this, like, she's a woman, she's young, she can't possibly like be good enough to be in this job. But she proves them wrong straight away, although she does make some stupid decisions that end up in a lot of mistakes and potential killings. But like,
Yeah.
I wish I actually had the script, because it would have been a lot easier. But the characters, there's so much character development within only a short period of time that would actually get you missing these characters if they weren't around. And I know from the reaction that was put in the group chat that it was very loved as soon. Like, there was so much demand for it before I'd even wrote the entire thing. I mean, Lee finished the ending because that's what we do. Like, we just finish
Yeah.
each other's work. Like, who cares? But it's pretty good, I would say. We're
I'd
in
say it's really good, yeah.
pre-production, and it's gonna come sooner than people expect, even though a lot of people are expecting us to be so tied down and busy, even though we're actually not.
I know.
Yeah, so I think we'll hopefully should be shooting on the 14th. I hope. I
Yeah.
mean, it would have been the 12th, but yeah.
Need to message the studio about that.
Yeah, I didn't realize that the 12th was like a Sunday, mainly because I'm so used to having like appointments on certain days, and I thought it was a Friday, my appointment, the day after, but it wasn't. So that was my mistake, as usual. I should probably like turn up the calendar and start writing things in before I forget. But I'm like really excited. And one of the scenes that I'm definitely excited for would be undercover scene.
That one's going to be really good. I've got ideas for that.
Oh, I've got ideas as well.
Yeah.
Like, I've already picked out the disguise, and I just hope it's warm enough by then. Fingers crossed that it's warm
Hopefully it should
enough.
be.
Like, because this outfit is either going to be like, I'm going to freeze or I'm not going to freeze. So hopefully it is warm. But luckily the scene's inside, and I could probably put a jacket over the top. Gotta love some good wigs. I mean, my wig collection is legit. My drawer
I
is
mean,
full.
some of the wigs you have are just really good, very authentic as well.
Yeah. it's going to be platinum blonde because the victim type.
Oh yes, makes sense.
Yeah, see, what we've learned from other crime shows is that most likely if somebody commits a murder, it's for a few reasons, usually revenge. But now they're becoming like hatred. Like there's loads of hatred murders, which is so
Mm,
sad.
it is, yeah. But
Um,
victimology is a key point in trying to solve a murder,
yeah, and
especially if there's been more than one.
if you can figure out the pattern, that you're kind of halfway there because
Mm,
you realize like things start to arise and you can also play to that and play to the advantages of the knowledge, which is a powerful thing. I
it
mean,
is,
who
yeah.
technically figured it out? I mean, I don't know if it was Isla who figured the victimology out, but I think it was also part that Larry did as well.
If I
Wyatt
remember
didn't.
correctly, I think it was Larry going through kind of like the social media, the previous victims, and noticing a pattern. I
Mm-hmm.
think that was it. But then Isla gives her, after hearing that, she gives her theory of kind of what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, it would make sense as well, like, because it's the first part, like, of murders, they took place in America, and then the second part takes place in the UK. And in America, males were killed, but specifically, like, they had brunette hair. So, like, it obviously resembles someone from the killer's past. And then in the UK, they've always gone after blondes, with very shade of blonde because there's no specific blonde. But yeah, that's what they've done. And clearly she was British, the one in their life, because otherwise it wouldn't really make sense.
Exactly.
I'm kind of excited for that though. Like, I've got my outfit planned. I'm going for the whole Scully vibe from episode 1, the pilot episode of that. Like, gotta love the X-Files. I was like, I have to. And that's why I actually cut my hair off again. So I can like curl it under a bit and do the long bob, or like probably shorter because I'll be cutting it off soon, probably. It's getting too long again. But
That's a
yeah,
good way to describe why it would be kind of Mulderish. I'd say you could describe
we've
Isla
got
and
2 minutes.
You could describe Isla and Wyatt as their
Mulder and
boss
Scully.
saying, yeah, you could have them like that as well. But there's like a little bit of thing you could say, like, if their boss says jump, Isla would say how high, Wyatt would sit on the floor.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It's kind of like the boss in it. He's like, please don't go and do that. Don't go and do that. And then he just walks out and it's like, yeah, he's still gonna do that. Like
He knows him. He
he
just
just
knows him.
defies orders, but that's the same as like Mulder, really. He just defies orders. It was like,
Yeah.
nope, I am not doing that.
Just rules. What are rules?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I think that's part of the thing that puts them together as like such a good dynamic
Mm-hmm.
because one has to keep the other right or tries to. I
They're sort
mean,
of opposites, but at the same time, they need that kind of opposite energy to really connect.
yeah, and common ground as well.
Yeah.
So I've got less than a minute.
Do you want to
And
finish the episode off?
I'm gonna say if you haven't watched these crime dramas, you should because you're like missing out. And to be honest, we could have done so much longer on shows like this and other shows. But I would say these are the shows that you should watch. So Criminal Minds, watch it all. It's on Disney Plus. NCIS, watch all that. It's on Disney Plus. Law and Order SVU, absolutely amazing. Can't really watch it anywhere. I think it's on Sky potentially. X-Files is a definite, and that's on Disney. So yeah, I would say them for now.